Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights into Entertainment. This is episode 99.
Holy moly.
Papering over the past. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my creative and motivated co-host, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
Technically, this is our 100th episode.
Oh, this is all lies.
Since we started numbering at episode 0 for our pilot. But next week will be our official episode 100.
And it'll be a little bit special.
And we have a little bit, what are we doing? We're doing
like a get to know us.
a get to know us.
Right.
If you care. If not, just skip that episode.
Yeah, just go on to 101 then
Yeah.
if you really don't want to know anything about us.
Now,
That's
we
fine.
are going to showcase some of our unique items in our individual collections.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a little bit of our collectible past, our pop culture cred, I guess.
Sure. Why
And-
we think we're pop culture fanatics, I guess,
Right,
maybe.
right.
You know? Give a little bit
My
of...
checking account makes me a pop culture fanatic.
yeah.
I spend enough on it.
Yeah.
So, but that's next week.
Mm-hmm.
This week, we're going to be talking in our Disney Detective about the untold history of the iconic wallpaper in the Haunted Mansion. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. I put on a shirt
Yeah, I
specifically
know.
with wallpaper.
Well, and you have your jewelry that you received for your birthday.
I did.
We have our jewelry box. If
Uh-huh.
I switch to that shot there, we have the jewelry box.
With
and
another
your bracelet there.
accessory that I was going to wear and, yeah,
It's
took that
just
off.
too loud for a
Not
podcast.
meant for a podcast.
Yeah, so that wouldn't work out so well.
Right.
What else we got? So we're going to be talking about Disney's newest platform that gives people access to hidden places in Disney World and Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
Then in our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy, Lucasfilm's possible Gina Carano replacement plan. Sounds like an equipment replacement plan when I break a phone.
Use this upgrade into that. Yeah, it's all good.
We'll also talk Star Wars books. We'll look at a guide to canon novels in the chronological order.
And we're not going to go through all of them because that's a whole podcast probably.
That's true.
Just for itself. So we'll briefly talk about that.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And then in our entertainment news, some news from Stevie Wonder about moving to Ghana for some disturbing but legitimate reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then the MCU might be getting a major casting shakeup.
Maybe, possibly,
Let's
hopefully.
see what that has.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a couple of interesting, insightful picks this week.
Mm-hmm.
One that had to be heavily censored for the show.
You stole
But we'll
it
get
from
to
me, but
that.
That's okay.
Well, you gotta strike while the
Strike while
iron's
the iron's
hot.
hot, blah, blah, blah.
Anyway, bitter.
Never.
So before we get into that, I do want to plug the show real quick and ask that folks subscribe to the show. You can subscribe to our video versions of all of our shows by subscribing to Insights into Things. You can get the audio versions of just this show if you subscribe to Insights into Entertainment. We're available on Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Pandora, basically any place you can get a podcast now. We do encourage you to subscribe because you'll get them first thing Monday morning at 8 when they go live. Well, they don't actually go live. They go out on the
Right. Unless
feed.
you happen to be watching us while we're streaming.
Which is really hard because we never stream at the same time.
We tried. We really did.
Like,
we had a schedule.
Just watch our Twitch channel all day on Saturday and you'll see something go live.
Something between, the two.
Yeah, yours is usually afternoon. Then we do teens in the morning. And then when we do our monthly podcast for tomorrow, that's randomly at any time.
Right. Saturday or Sunday, depending on the day.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Except for next week, by the way, we are shooting ahead of schedule for teens.
That is true.
Because we're having a special guest who is not available over the weekend. So we'll be shooting live, actually, during the week and recording the show during the week.
So if you're, want to watch it live during the week.
You can watch us live. We'll be shooting Tuesday at 7. We'll be going live for the show.
Good to know. So, dinner should be beforehand.
Exactly.
Thanks for the heads up.
We also would encourage you to reach out to us and give us your feedback. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can hit us on Twitter at insights_things. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast or Instagram. We are at Insights Into Things, where you can get links to all those on our website at www.insightsintothings.com. Are we ready to get into it?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Go for Disney Detective.
So this was an interesting little history story that popped up on hunker.com, and it was basically the untold story of the iconic wallpaper at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. So since opening its doors in 1969, 14 years after Disneyland began welcoming guests, the Haunted Mansion became a topic of fascination for fans of old school Disney facts and lore. There's obviously tons of urban legends about it, that the house is actually haunted by real ghosts, but it was the, attention to detail, the 999 happy haunts to be exact, that makes it one of the most immersive and, exciting experiences in amusement park history. It's also one of the last things that Walt Disney actually worked on before he had passed away, so for some it represents a final connection to his creative spirit. Get it? Ha, spirit. But of course, there's all the detail, within the Haunted Mansion, but the one that kind of, is the most iconic, I guess, is the black and purple wallpaper, which at first, appeared to be, looked like an oversized mask, but when you actually look at it, it's comprised of creepy clusters of eyes, and it's actually attained cult status, really. If you go to Etsy, you can find anything from phone cases to umbrellas, sporting various versions of the print. Jason Searle, who was the author of The Haunted Mansion, Imagining a Disney Classic, and also a former senior show writer for Walt Disney Imagineering, had said it's become a real symbol of the mansion. He said, most people gravitate towards it, and he believes, it's because it has this striking icon of its own, and that the wallpaper, it's so subtle, but yet it expresses so much fandom, and it's almost like a secret code for coolness. And what's really kind of funny is people that don't know that it's related to the Haunted Mansion just think, oh, okay, it is what it is. But those that know, it is funny that it's like this secret code. I actually, one of the various masks that I have, that I wear, during this time is the Haunted Mansion wallpaper. And when I went to a doctor's appointment the other day, I didn't even, think about it. I was just wearing it. And she was like, oh, I love your Haunted Mansion mask. Where somebody that's not a fan of the Haunted Mansion wouldn't know what it was. So it was kind of funny that they mentioned that in the article about it being this, this secret code thing. But there's, a lot of back and forth, and what this article talks about is how the idea for, or what ended up becoming the wallpaper for the Haunted Mansion, was actually a couple of different concepts that were kind of thrown out from original ideas from the Museum of the Weird, which was the original concept for what they wanted the Haunted Mansion to kind of start out at. And the ideas were kind of scrapped, and a couple of other artists came forward and took little pieces of it and kind of put it all together, and then, you know, we have our iconic wallpaper as it is now. So it's a really interesting article. You know, we're not going to go through all of it, but, you know, it talks about how, you know, there were, you know, what the different inspirations were. You know, there were a lot of Victorian type stylings that were coming in, a lot of hippie-esque, you know, from a lot of the era of, you know, marijuana use and things like that, and the trippiness of it. So it was all these different things kind of, you know, melding together to bring us this iconic wallpaper that, again, is kind of like the secret code fandom, you know, for those that are fans of the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And even in the one of the later revamps of the Haunted Mansion, they even had sections as you went through, at least in Disneyland. I don't know, Disney World. I don't know if they did it in Disneyland.
Right.
Where they had the eyes blinking. They had a special effect where the eyes were blinking.
Right.
So just sort of bringing it to life even more.
Right.
And they've done several remodels on the mansions where they've, in the process of remodeling, they've taken the old wallpaper down, they've put new wallpaper up, and we were even able to obtain a swatch of the original wallpaper from one of the renovations, so that you actually have a framed version of that.
I do.
So very iconic, very cool, very cool. So tell us how you can get access to hidden places in Disney World and Land now.
So this was an article that came out in the San Francisco Gate.com. And the author, you know, of this talks about, you know, at a time when people haven't been inside Disneyland in almost a year, and many others are choosing not to travel to Walt Disney World as the pandemic continues, there's a new way for people to connect to the park that never have been able to before, and it's just a download away. And it's actually through the TikTok app. So a lot of people have been on TikTok for a while now, but now more and more companies are starting to join because of, you know, an easy way to connect with their fans. And Disney Parks has set up a channel on it, a profile. And what's interesting is they're posting behind the scenes stuff that they've never posted before. So one of their first videos that they posted was of inside Cinderella's castle suite. So there have been a couple videos that they've done throughout the years, when they had first renovated it, and when you could win a night's stay in, you know, various sweepstakes that they had. Well, this was really kind of the first time in a while they did like a little tour. The videos on TikTok are as short as 15 seconds or up to a minute long, so not very long, and they do continuously loop. So it's kind of interesting. Within, you know, this quick 1 minute, you get this, you know, tour of something that you haven't seen. So one of the things, like I said, was they did the Cinderella's royal suite. So you got to see, you know, the bathroom and the bedroom and the view and what it would look like at night. Then a couple of people had posted, hey, what about the Disneyland Ducks? And a cast member did a video, and they were going around showing, yeah, this is how the ducks are, everybody's okay. And because of the park not being open, they've been able to go and do behind the scenes videos that most people, again, haven't seen, but they're also doing a bunch of renovation as well since the park isn't open, so they're able to show, people who wouldn't normally be able to see what's going on. So kind of cool that they're, taking this aspect, TikTok, was kind of known for, their dances. Like, everybody would log on and, hey, here's a funny dance that I do. But, there are some really kind of interesting things that have popped up on it, and this happens to be one of them.
That's kind of cool. Now, I know for decades now, Disney's done behind-the-scenes tours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And their in-person tours are usually age-restricted depending on what they show you.
Right.
How protective are they on what their behind-the-scenes stuff is on TikTok?
Well, and that's the thing, is they're not showing you, like, I don't think they've shown the Utilidor, anything like that. It's pretty much been within the parks. The one thing that they did was, after they did the Cinderella, they did Sleeping Beauty's castle. They showed the ducks around the castle. They actually went and did the horses at Disneyland. The Circle
Carol.
D. No, the Circle D, the actual horses that normally go through the park and they went and did a checkup on them. And they were also doing, for animals being born at Animal Kingdom in Florida, they were doing behind the scenes of that. So they're almost doing some of the same things that they would do during a tour.
But they're not being overly revealing, and
because the biggest
magic
thing, and I think the biggest thing for, like, the behind the ears, or the kingdom, the
keys to the kingdom,
keys to the kingdom, the biggest reason for the age restriction is so that you don't happen to see Mickey Mouse out of uniform. That's really where the cutoff of the age is for that tour. So they haven't really done, anything like that on their page, but it's more all these other areas. And I think, they're kind of taking requests also. Like, if you put, hey, and one person said, what about the Disneyland cats? And they haven't done one yet, but they said, don't worry, we'll check in on them. Everybody's doing okay, but we'll do a video of them, later on. So kind of cool. That's
very cool. Mm-hmm. That is very cool. So that was all we had for our Disney Detective.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back in a minute with our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com.
Pew 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 pew.
Go for Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy.
Our first article is talking about the replacement plan for the Cara Dune character from Mandalorian, and obviously the Rangers of the New Republic show. So this article came from giantfreakinrobot.com. I just like saying that, by the way. And again, this is a lot of speculation in this because there's no, concrete, yes, this is the plan. This is all, kind of rumory stuff. So just wanted to put that out there. So according to insider Daniel Rickman, on his page, he said that Lucasfilm is planning to replace Gina Carano's character in the upcoming series Rangers of the New Republic with another strong female lead. Reichman is light on further details, but this does seem to confirm that Cara Dune was set to be the lead in Rangers of the New Republic. So have they actually found somebody? Are they still looking? So again, according to this article, it's, do we kind of replace her with somebody else, or do we find... So it kind of sounds like they're looking to just replace the character altogether. Like she's just kind of gonna go off, because as far as The Mandalorian, in, one of the last episodes that she was in, we saw Captain Teva attempting to recruit her to the New Republic. So that was going to be kind of her moving from the Mandalorian over. So now, do they completely drop that? But according to the Hollywood Reporter, sources said that they had planned to actually unveil her during the December investors plan.
Sorry about that. On call for work this weekend.
And we were trying to get in without, anything. So that as of right now, there's no immediate plans to recast her. But one of the people that's kind of been gaining steam in all of this is Lucy Lawless. That she's kind of the front runner to be, obviously not the Cara Dune character, but some type of warrior type person to kind of take over where they kind of wanted to go with it. And again, nothing is set in stone with it. It's all rumors, but a lot of people were like, yeah, I could totally see, Lucy Lawless in this type of character moving forward. So we'll see, again, all speculation at this point, but you never know.
Well, and I think the thing to keep in mind here is that the universe is a big place. There's a lot of characters in it.
Absolutely.
So no need to get bogged down with a single character who's problematic at best in the real world.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. I'm sure they're not going to cancel the show with her not being part of it at this point. So they'll find a replacement.
Somebody else.
So tell us about our guide to canon novels.
Yeah, so this was an interesting article that popped up from denofthegeek.com. And, it basically talks about, are you looking to fill in the gaps, in Star Wars stories? And this was a very insightful list, that talks about everything, basically all in chronological order from before the prequels all the way up to the last trilogy that came out, and and it even includes young adult novels as well. And I'm sure you've probably read a good portion, if not all, probably not all, but you've probably read a good portion of it. And even talking about the newer books that are going to be coming out. So it talks about it, it lists it before the prequel. So you have the High Republic, Light of the Jedi, Queen's Peril. Then you even have the prequel era, which is Queen's Shadow, the Thrawn books, Rogue One prequel of Catalyst. Then it even breaks it down into after Revenge of the Sith, but before A New Hope. There's a whole, era of books that comes in with that. Then, of course, you have the original trilogy and the books, that go in between all of that. Then you have The Return of the Jedi and all the books. It's like, oh my gosh, you could be reading for like years this
And I did.
And I'm sure you did. And then, of course, the sequel trilogy, and all of those. And really a very comprehensive list that I've seen, put together. And again, like I said, it's in chronological order for anybody. So the link will obviously be, on our website or, in the notes if you're interested in pulling up everything. Because, again, we could probably go through, do a whole special just on this with your insights of, what you've read and what you haven't yet. So.
Yeah, there's an extensive amount of canon novels out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read a lot of them. I certainly haven't read all of them. In fact, most of my reading has been the non-canon, what used to be called the expanded universe.
Mm-hmm.
I have like the last complete 4 series of books of that, all of which that I've read. And I've kind of picked and chosen what I've read from the new stuff here. I haven't read anything from the High Republic yet,
Mm-hmm.
so might have to get into that and see if that's any good.
There you go.
So that was all we had for our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back in a minute with our entertainment news of the week.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insightsintothings. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com. Dum 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 dum.
Go for entertainment news.
So this article came from people.com, and it seems that Stevie Wonder is heading to West Africa for a profound reason. During a recent interview with Oprah Winfrey, the 25-time Grammy winner, say that 5 times fast, opened up about his future plans to live in Ghana indefinitely as part of his efforts to shield his lineage of grandchildren and great-grandchildren from racial injustice in the U.S. He said, "I want to see this nation smile again, and I want to see it before I leave to travel to move to Ghana because I'm going to do that." When asked if he plans to relocate permanently, the star replied, "I am, because I don't want to see my children's children have to say, 'Oh, please like me, please respect me, please know that I am important, please value me.' What kind of life is that?" The star's decision was influenced by a number of reasons, but it's often said that living in a majority Black region gives Black individuals a sense of safety, confidence, liberation, and pride. Many argue that within the U.S., attending HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, gives Black American Black students the same feeling. Wonder said that he had actually been considering moving to Ghana since as early as 1994, per the Orlando Sentinel. He said at the time, he had told, at a gathering of International Association of African American Music, that he had fallen in love with the country and there was more of a sense of community there. He had last month he had wrote an emotional letter in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, where he said, "Dear Dr. King, I met you when I was 14 years of age. You are a true hero and you became an inspiration." He later said that it is painful to know that the needle has not moved one iota. For 36 years, we've had a national holiday honoring your birthday and principles, yet you would not believe the lack of progress. It makes me physically sick. I am sick of politicians trying to find an easy solution to a 400-year-old problem. The vocalist concluded the letter with a call to action for all those in the Senate to speak truth to what they know they can physically see and begin the steps forward towards accountability, forgiveness, and then healing. So, you got to do what you have to do, for your family.
It's really hard to argue with anything the man says.
Absolutely.
Especially after living through 4 years of the, administration we just lived through and how much worse things got in such, we regressed 30 years in those 4 years in race relations.
Yeah. So it's
tragic.
It's sad to see, somebody leave the country that you grew up in, for that someplace else is safer. But again, you have to do what's right for your family.
What's sad is that not only is that a viable alternative, it's a requirement now if you want to have the kind of respect and freedom that you deserve.
Yeah.
Our country has a long way to go before we get where we need to be.
Absolutely.
So on a lighter note, the MCU might be getting a major casting shakeup. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so the latest casting rumor surrounding the MCU has fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shaking with excitement. The speculation is that Agent Phil Coulson and Quake, Daisy Johnson, could return to the MCU later this year. So the reports had actually come around on fandomwire.com saying, that we can reveal that Clark Gregg's Agent Phil Coulson and Chloe Bennett's Daisy Johnson are returning to the MCU for an upcoming project on Disney+. While we couldn't exactly confirm which series they'll be in, all signs have been pointing to Secret Invasion, which is currently in production. So Secret Invasion does seem to be most likely to be the project that they'll be returning because it will also be featuring former S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury. It will follow the comic book storyline of the same name and will revolve around the infiltration of the shape-shifting aliens, the Krills, and Ben Mendelsohn, who was in Captain Marvel, he will actually be in the series as well. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. aired its final episode last August of 2020, and star Chloe Bennett had been very vocal about wanting to return to the role of Daisy Johnson. So it's kind of cool if this is, what's going to happen. It seems like the way that they had ended Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had kind of ended the series where things had just begun with Endgame. So they kind of brought the timeline together, so they kind of brought it up to speed. So it's very possible that they could add these two characters to bring them over to Invasion. So we'll have to wait and see, but it could be very cool because they were, favorites of ours from when we were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We, when we watched Captain Marvel and they debuted the Skrulls, they kind of turned the tables on the nature of the Skrulls, and they made the Skrulls the
good guys, almost.
The oppressed, minority of the galaxy.
Right.
And you developed a sense of sympathy for them. But you have to keep in mind that movie was set in the 1990s.
Right.
So the Secret Invasion comics, the Skrulls are the bad guys. The other guys that come in shape-shifting, taking over people's bodies. And basically what they did was what the Marvel Cinematic Universe did in Winter Soldier.
Okay.
With the Hydra taking over S.H.I.E.L.D.
Gotcha.
It was actually the Skrulls sort of that did that. So they've kind of munged things together here to keep the themes, but with different people in those roles and stuff.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting, especially if they're bringing Ben Mendelsohn back in, to see where that, finding them a planet to live peacefully by themselves and not be bothered, winds up with them becoming the secret invasion. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Did something go wrong, obviously, with all that.
So that should be an interesting twist to see. Is it a limited series that they're doing here?
They haven't said what any of Invasion is going to be like, so I guess we'll have to wait and see for more information.
Definitely something to look forward to. And that was all we had for our entertainment news. We'll be right back with our insightful picks. Go for your insightful pick.
So my insightful pick is actually a trilogy of movies that are based on a trilogy of novels of the same name. It's the movie series is To All the Boys I Loved, and and this is where the teenage girl in me, comes out. So To All the Boys is a series of American teenage romance films based on the trilogy of novels of the same name. And the movie centers around a shy teenage girl who writes 5 love letters where she never planned to send them out. And years later, her younger sister finds them and sends them out to the 5 different boys who she had a crush on, in junior high. And now she's in high school. So the first movie sort of centers around her and the one boy, kind of setting up a contract where they fake pretend to date, because he kind of breaks up with somebody and wants to kind of get back at her. So she decides to be the pretend girlfriend. And, of course, by the end of the movie, they fall in love and they really start dating. Then the second movie takes place a year later, and everything that goes on with them. And what happens is one of the last boys that she never heard from in the first movie that she sent a letter to, she finally hears from. So again, cute little situations pop up with that. And then the last movie, which actually just came out February of this year, is their senior year, and basically the turmoil of dating during senior year, and what college do you go to? Do you pick something close together so you can still date, or do you go your separate ways and throw caution to the wind? So, cute little, teeny bopper love story, for those that want something different to watch.
All right. Cute pick.
Thank you.
So my pick this week is kind of a documentary, kind of a sitcom, limited series type thing. My pick this week is one that I was hesitant to watch, only because it's hosted by someone who I absolutely can't stand as an actor. It's hosted by Nicolas Cage, and it's called History of Swear Words, streaming on Netflix. In the show, Nicolas Cage hosts the proudly profane, funny, and engagingly educational series about the history and impact of the most notorious English swear words. The unscripted series explores the history of swear words through interviews with experts in entomology, popular culture, history, and entertainment, with each episode diving into the origins, usage, and cultural impact of specific curse words. The show was interesting in that Nicolas Cage was actually funnier in this show than I think I've ever seen him in. I have a very difficult time with Nicolas Cage as an actor, because Nicolas Cage does a very good job playing Nicolas Cage. He's not particularly well at convincing me that he's anyone other than himself with all of the mannerisms. But those mannerisms really lended themselves to this TV show because he's generally a connoisseur of some of the words that they actually talk about in the documentary itself. And it wasn't just a bunch of people sitting around cussing and swearing, although there was plenty of that as well. But each episode, and I think there were 7 episodes, each episode they took a word that's a popular swear word in English language, and they looked at the origins of it. They looked at the various forms that it took, where some words transformed over the years from very different meanings, and they looked at how their usage in popular culture has changed over hundreds of years, some of which they went back as far as the Middle Ages on some of these words. The only criticism I think I really would lodge at the show itself is the order in which they did the words. They started off very strong,
to say the least.
They ended up with a word that I can actually say on this podcast, damn. And it seemed like it just sort of sputtered out at the end there, where you would have ended with one of the bigger 4-letter words.
Right. And I do want to kind of point out too that you didn't even want to watch that.
That's, I covered that already, that I did not want to watch this show.
Right. And I was like, oh, come on, I think it'll be funny. And
anything with Nicolas Cage, I try to stay away from.
Right.
I had mentioned, you had stepped out very briefly, but I had mentioned that I don't like Nicolas Cage is very good at playing Nicolas Cage.
And he did that in this, which was funny.
And his character, he as an individual was perfect for this show. That's why it worked.
Right.
When he's asked to play anybody else, he's not convincing at all.
Right.
He never sells me.
Right.
But it was a funny show. We were laughing at a number of the areas there. Not one for the kids. There's a lot of cussing that goes on. Because they demonstrate how the word is used repeatedly in each episode.
Yeah.
But it in the end, I was entertained, and I was glad that I watched it.
Yeah.
So, History of Swear Words, currently on Netflix, and we'll be right back. So that was all we had for this week. Did we have any closing remarks or anything like that to go over?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, short episode today. We got through everything we needed to get through. And next week we will be back with our official 100th episode. And we'll get to show off some of our collections a little bit, which it's worth mentioning, by the way, that our collections... Well, my collection actually did show up on a pop culture publication at one point in time where I was solicited. But we almost wound up on a show when we were solicited going to one of the local conventions. Yeah,
and I think the way that the show ended up, the show kind of
the format
morphed.
The show
so
changed.
We had gone to one of
Monster Mania.
Monster Mania. It was one of the Monster Manias, and they had somebody there, and it was Secret Stash was the original or the version of it that they were looking at, and basically they wanted somebody that had an extensive collection.
Right.
It wasn't anything where we had to sell anything. It was basically they were going to come to the house and interview and take a look at everything. And we were initially asked about it, and then I guess they kind of changed the format of the show, so we haven't been on.
So that's why we decided to put our own show together.
Right, exactly. We said we don't need those people; we can do it ourselves.
So next week will be a little bit of that. We're going to do some footage, some shots of our more rare or prized or obscure things. Because we put a good deal of it on display in the studio here already.
You kind of see it in the background, but we didn't, we don't ever really, focus in on it. Obviously, he's the Star Wars guy. If you
if you didn't already know, you should know. And then I'm mostly Disney,
Right.
the majority Haunted Mansion, but we also have, Star Trek, we also have Doctor Who,
Yep.
Sci-fi stuff, horror stuff for me. So we have a nice collection.
Yeah, so we'll highlight some of the stuff that we have and put a little
since
sizzle
nobody
reel together.
since nobody comes over to our house anymore for get-togethers, we can't show off anything. We figure, hey, let's put it together for you guys to.
And our house really is like a museum.
Oh, it totally is.
Anyway, but that's a teaser for next week.
That's your teaser for next week.
Tune in if you want to see some of the collection next week. Other than that, that's it. Another one in the books.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.